When you think about classic Nintendo games, you'd have to think about Donkey Kong and Donkey Kong Jr. These two games put Nintendo on the map as a game developer and introduced unforgettable characters like DK, DK Jr., and Jumpman, also known as Mario. But as quickly as these games made Nintendo a success, with a series that could do no wrong, it got sprayed away with the third entry, Donkey Kong 3, which is what we're looking at today, you lucky viewers. Donkey Kong 3 for the Nintendo Entertainment System. Was there ever a 2? Junior didn't specify, and that fan-made arcade game doesn't count. It's the early to mid-80s. Nintendo is on fire in the arcade scene with their Donkey Kong games being a hit for the company and arcade goers alike. But it was decided that the protagonist and antagonist of the series, Mario, would be parting ways and getting his own game with his bro Luigi, and Donkey Kong would get another sequel without him. With this in mind, Nintendo looked towards their other successful venture, the Game & Watch line, to find a suitable replacement for the carpenter-turned-plumber. And they found it in Greenhouse, one of their multi-screen G&Ws released on December 16th, 1982. The lead character, Stanley the Bugman, was given the green light to star in the new Donkey Kong game, and the product of that was Donkey Kong 3. This game was released to the arcades in October of 1983, and then ported over to the NES in June of 1986, both getting less fanfare from critics and gamers compared to its counterparts, which must be shocking if you're hearing this for the first time. How could a series going so strong weaken so fast with its third entry? I guess Stanley the Bugman couldn't cut it as the main man. Don't ask me why I did that, because I don't know myself. But it was more than just a change in the protagonist that made this game different from its predecessors, and you'll see what I mean as we take a better look at Donkey Kong 3. With Mario off to start a plumbing business with his brother and DK Jr. fancying himself in ties, the Bugman steps in to get DK out of his greenhouse. You control Stanley and have to spray Donkey Kong and his bees out of the greenhouse so you can rack up the points. Now we've got to slow down real quick, because why the hell is DK in the greenhouse controlling bees? Feel free to send answers on a postcard, and the best answer will get a gold star on the fridge. As you can see, this game departs from its platforming roots, instead looking for a combo of platforming and somewhat fast-paced shooter that was still popular in arcades at the time. The story goes something like this. DK has taken refuge in Stanley's greenhouse and is stirring up trouble and insects somehow that's out to ruin his flowers. It's up to Stanley to drive DK and the insects out by spraying them with his trusty spray. You do this by shooting the regular bees out of the air and keep the big ape at bay by spraying him in the buttock. Now I'm not sure the effect pesticide has on gorilla skin, but I'm sure PETA is gonna fit over this. Anyhow, it's important to keep the bees and DK from descending to your flowers on the bottom, because if the bees do get too close, they'll try to take one of your 5 flowers. You can get it back by spraying the bee stealing the flower, but if the bees take all your flowers, it's a loss of a life. And the same can be said when Donkey Kong drops down from the vines from descending too much. So you must keep an eye on all enemies at all times and make sure your crops remain in check. But sometimes your normal spray may not be enough to keep all the pests away, so you may have to get that super spray. If you spray DK up far enough, he'll be able to drop the super spray, which you can grab for an even stronger and farther reaching spray. It'll kill all insects with a single shot, and it could even drive DK out of the level. If you force Donkey Kong to drop the beehives or kill all the bees within a level, you'll move on to the next with increased difficulty. You'll receive an extra time bonus and another bonus depending on how many flowers you have left. There are 3 stages in this game, each with a different layout to keep the game interesting. The second level requires you to shoot DK into a beehive while avoiding the caterpillars. They stay in place when shot at with a normal spray, so keep that in mind. The third level is much like the first, but it has a gap in the middle, so you'll have to work your way around it. It's more or less the only platforming segment of the whole game, but I don't really care because in all honesty, I'm having a good time. Yeah, you heard me right. I actually like this game. May I be damned, but this game is good. It may be nothing like its predecessors, but that to me is what adds to its charm. The gameplay is a unique combo that I can get behind and have fun playing with, even when the challenge gets tougher. After the third level, the game starts to show its arcade roughness as new enemies begin to appear, like the queen bee that requires 2 shots and will spread out like a shotgun after death. Worms come out of the vines to get in your way, and even DK gets in with the action by summoning more bees and throwing out coconuts or honey bee dung. I don't know what that is. And if any attacking insect touches you or directly attacks you, you'll lose a life. And once all your lives are lost, the game is over. And that's how you play. It may not be something you would expect in the Donkey Kong series, but it's still fun nonetheless. The combination of a platforming shooter is cool in itself, and the fact that DK is in it makes it even more interesting, and what mostly brings the game down. But I say Miyamoto, Yokoi, and R&D1, who all worked on the game, actually made a very compelling game. And they must have had confidence in this game if they put the first appearance of the current DK logo we all know and love. But regardless of that, I'm sure you viewers can have a great time with this game. Just be sure you don't kill bees in real life. That's a touchy subject these days. The music was composed by Hirokazu Tanaka, and I usually like his work, but this isn't really notable. The tunes make up mostly normal startup tunes, power-up music, and whatever you call that buzzing sound, so it's very forgetful to me. The other games didn't have much music either, but had memorable jingles. This game, however, is lacking in that department, sadly. I would ask where Tanaka went wrong, but I doubt he would care considering he has so many other outstanding tracks in his resume that this game barely puts a dent in it. With most black box games, as this game is a part of, extra content isn't much to write home about. The only thing you can toggle around with is the 4 game types. Game A is the game on normal difficulty, and Game B provides a bigger challenge with harder difficulty. You can also play both game modes with another person, but you'd have to take turns. But as you guys know and have known for a while now, I still have no friends to play with. It isn't real surprising considering it's an arcade port, but maybe they should have put more time into making this port arcade perfect. I mean, why isn't the greenhouse outline on in the background, and where are Stanley's dance moves? How could you keep this out of the game, Nintendo? It isn't known how well this port of the game sold, but it is known that the arcade game sold considerably low compared to its first 2 prequels. The game did get a somewhat loose port as part of the Game & Watch Vs series and a sequel by Hudson Soft to a few Japanese computers. But after that, the series went into hiatus and would never see another release again. Donkey Kong would make a resurgence in 1994 with Donkey Kong Country, and he's been doing well ever since with more games and rekindling his storied rivalry with Mario in the Mario vs. Donkey Kong series, and even Donkey Kong 94, which is another game I need to get to. It is believed and mainly accepted that DK Jr. is the Donkey Kong we all play today, and Cranky Kong is the original Donkey Kong that arcade players used to beat or rescue. It would definitely explain why he went all senile and tried to take over Stanley's greenhouse with bees. Speaking of Stanley, he was never put in a starring role again and pretty much faded into obscurity, but he did make an appearance on CBS's Saturday Supercade. His original game Greenhouse was recreated in Game & Watch Gallery 2 and 3 and the Game & Watch Collection, plus the Donkey Kong 3 G&W was also recreated for Game & Watch Gallery 4, but with Mario taking his role instead. Stanley is also referenced in Smash Bros. With Mr. Game & Watch's spray attack and appears as a trophy and sticker in Melee and Brawl respectively. So, what is my rate to play? Sure, it may not be anything like what came before, but I implore that this game is a lot more than what it was made out to be in its initial run. Donkey Kong 3 is a fun and noteworthy title. It may have taken the series out of its comfort zone and even bring it down to its knees, but I'd say the hate is wrongly deserved as most are missing the big picture. The gameplay is enjoyable, anybody can figure this out even if they never played a DK game before, and I'm sure you can have a fun time with Donkey Kong 3. Besides, could you imagine Mario becoming a Bugman? He's more into pipes. Oh, and I also found the missing link between the two titles. DK2 was actually released on Game & Watch. I'm gonna go play that and develop a theory on how DK1 and DK2 made DK3 while practicing my greenhouse grooves. To conclude, I give this game a play rate of gotta play. But that's only my opinion. If you have your own thoughts, leave a comment. If you like what you see, leave a like. If you think others would enjoy this, share it around the web. And if you want to see more, subscribe. Anyway, this has been BrianTheBlue Game Reviews, Donkey Kong 3 for the NES. Brian here saying thanks for watching my game review. You can find me elsewhere like on BrianTheBlue LPs where I play through video games when I can for the fun of it. I've done Luigi's Mansion, Portal 2, and recently the original Mega Man, and more. So you should subscribe so you can follow me on my many adventures. Plus, I run the Starfighters Arcade channel. I work at a retro arcade in real life, and there we cover the arcade games with regulars as well as providing tips. You can find out more about the arcade in our commercials, so check us out when you have the time. But don't forget, I have plenty of other content on this channel with original series like quick views, console reviews, AC reviews, and current calamities. From software to hardware, I provide any and all gaming reviews. Check out Jacobians further to see what I have to offer. That's all the promotion from me. Click the I to go watch either the previous or upcoming episodes of Game Reviews.